Israel has decided to strike Iran preemptively. This is one of the largest preemptive strikes that we have seen between any two sovereign countries in quite some time. And this has huge American domestic political implications. I'm going to make a prediction right now. These kind of no kings protests that we're seeing this weekend, they're going to be hijacked by all the pro-Hamas stuff. We're going to have all intersectionality back in the streets. Iran State TV says, quote, unconfirmed reports say that Israel has martyred Iranian Revolutionary Guard Chief Salami. That is from Iranian State TV. And so this is now going to have major American domestic implications. Questions of, should we continue to finance Israel? Should we continue to sell armaments? And as you very well know, I'm very pro-Israel on this show. I'm just simply interpreting the political dynamics here. And I could tell you right now that the audience, you guys, freedom@charliekirk.com, are not thrilled with this situation at all. And so right now, Mike Pence is saying, quote, Iran must never have a nuclear weapon. We must support the United States with information and with resources. So the question is also, I think fundamentally at its core, how does the America First foreign policy doctrine and foreign policy agenda, let's just say, stay consistent with this? This right now is going to cause, I think, a major schism in the MAGA online community. We're not seeing that yet, though, right, Tyler? I mean, I'm seeing it a little bit in my X feed, but Tyler, it seems, you know, I don't want to say over. It's somewhat unified, but what are we seeing so far in the right-wing community?
It's still early. I mean, it's still early. But so far, I mean, we were talking about this because things are happening very rapidly in real time. And we know war is such a hotly debated topic, particularly in kind of the new right, what we call it, like the MAGA movement. I like the new right we talk about all the time, which is very anti-war. So you have a lot of millennials who voted in record numbers for Donald Trump this last election, who were kind of raised under that anti-Bush. Remember, Liz Cheney, the Bushes all endorsed against President Trump basically twice in a row. And they lost. They lost big time because the right has shifted so far into the anti-war space. So this is a huge deal. But yeah, I think right now you're seeing a lot of people really happy with the response from President Trump's team, from Marco Rubio, his statement they put out there. I think that was a brilliant thing to do, to make sure that statement is out there. But I think what's coming, like you said, Charlie, is that there's going to be so many different levels to this with what we're fighting right now, with all these protests that are happening, with the left just going psychopathic out on the streets, trying to burn things down. It's going to get hijacked by the well-funded groups that are out there on the left, by C4s, political action committees, big nonprofit groups, C3s, that are all so pro-Hamas, they're all so pro-anti-Israel that they're not going to be able to resist to hijack these things. And so I think your guess is great. It's a lot of great intuition, is that we're going to see a lot of that. And I don't think Americans are going to love that. And I think it's actually going to push people more to the side of Israel, because I think the scariest thing here is that it starts this debate of being really anti-Israel because, you know, some people might start putting out there that maybe Israel lied to Trump or whatever. People will start running with that narrative. And I think that that's probably really negative for the MAGA movement. I think the MAGA movement needs to focus on, hey, we have all these like really crazy pro-Hamas actors that are on the streets that are burning stuff down. And that's not good for America. That's here. That's here right now. And so I think that's really smart, Charlie, to look at that.
So, Jack, help me understand this. If we knew the attack on Iran was coming, how were these generals so exposed? I mean, we're still kind of being told that Iran was taken by surprise, that Iran didn't see this coming. Help me understand that, because this was like the longest windup of an attack that we've seen. In fact, you and I knew this was happening like hours as it was developing. Jack Posobiec.
Yeah, and Charlie, even you and I spoke this morning very early and heard that it was a strong possibility. We both took to Twitter, X, and were posting messaging about it, and people were saying, why are Jack and Charlie posting about in Iran, strikes on Iran at 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. when no one's talking about that, and then as the day went further, people started to realize what was going on, and then yeah, we got that confirmation. Charlie, this remains to be seen exactly what went down here. So there could very well have been potentially operatives on the ground, Mossad operatives on the ground in Tehran that knew about safe houses, that knew about these types of locations, that knew sites that they would be taking into. There are some reports that Israel may have been deploying weapons that were previously not known about. So it's possible that even if the generals were moved to a safe house or were in concert with moving, if their forces had been penetrated by Israeli intelligence, then they could have been able to find out exactly where they were to conduct these strikes. Again, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but it may not be that they were taken by surprise. It may be very well that Israel conducted a large-scale intelligence or just even deception operation to make it seem as if they didn't know what the locations of these generals and leaders were, but in fact they did know after all. There's lots of ways that this can be done. And again, this is why some of those indications were given when they were given. The question, of course, really, I think for a lot of people is what's the scale of this and how is this going to be returned? But yes, it can be done, as we're seeing.
Okay, so we talk about the politics of this, the next steps. This is going to increase. Blake, you're kind of a military historian. How do these things usually end between Israel? Israel does very well in short wars and short conflicts. Blake, your thoughts?
Well, what's so different about this one is Israel, I mean, they have a lot of wars, but their wars that are big ones are against their neighbors. So they have a very strong track record in wars. They beat Egypt in several wars. They beat Syria in some wars. They fought Jordan. The Six-Day War was them versus Egypt, Jordan, Syria. Those are all countries that border them. You can have a conventional land war with them. With Iran, I mean, Iran is far away. Iran is very big. So, you can kind of have back and forth bombing. Obviously, Israel has the technology to do that. They just did this. But it's they don't have the Air Force to, strategically bomb Iran into, total submission. They can kind of bomb them as much as they want, but they don't have unlimited munitions. We don't even have unlimited munitions. I mean, Iran is, I believe it's a bigger country than Ukraine. It has many more people than Ukraine. And you can see, we see the limitations of how far munitions can go in that country. Now imagine you don't have a land border with that country and it's even bigger and it's more mountainous. We don't actually have a great model for this kind of conflict for them. Israel is a country that's fought its immediate neighbors in conventional wars. It's fought counterinsurgencies in Gaza, in the West Bank, and in Lebanon. But this isn't a conflict that we have a model for how it's going to go. And so I can't easily say how it's going to unfold. And that's why I say, we have to be ready for Iran really does have the capacity to decide how hot this war gets. And I feel like we have to hope that they don't want this to be a big one, but we may have, it's possible that we may have set them off so much they decide to escalate.
I cannot understand. I mean, first of all, this is a credit to Israel. I just got to be honest. Can we put this up on screen, the pictures I just sent? These are the Iranian generals, Iranian commanders. So in America, largely consuming public information, knew that a strike was imminent against Iran, okay? It must be a credit to Israel here. How is it that these four lunatics that work for, just as a side note, for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, who are now all dead and eliminated, when they woke up, did they really not take precautions to protect their military leaders? I cannot understand this. It is, Blake, can you help me process this? We all knew this was coming. What was it? Cockiness, pride, hubris? Was it just the bombs were so powerful or missiles were so powerful they penetrated any bunkers they might have been in? Help me understand how these four guys who knew this was the longest windup ever. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Oh, we're doing it. And then it still is. There was no deception involved here. It must be that the idea was that Israel was able to get within their networks and inside their networks. Maybe Iran thought negotiations were coming Sunday, but even they could see the writing on the wall of what Israel was doing, and they could tell They had no intelligence network of when Israeli airplanes took off from Israel. Anyway, Blake, help me understand this. It's perplexing to me.
I mean, it's not an easy one to answer, to be honest. I guess the most boring take is they were able to hit them with this forewarning because perhaps Israel has the intelligence to say, we know that like when there is a war that's going to break out, actually this is their safe house. This is where they're actually supposed to go when they worry that Israel is going to launch some sort of strike on them. It could be an answer like that. Israel's intelligence service has always been a lot more effective than ours. The CIA has a long legacy of extremely embarrassing failures. Mossad has a history of successfully assassinating its enemies in foreign countries. They've done it in Egypt. They've done it in the United Arab Emirates. They've done it in Lebanon. They have done it, apparently, in Iran. We may not know anytime soon exactly how they pulled it off, but they have the talent for this. Now, how they were caught off guard by the strikes themselves, I don't know. It seems like, yeah, we knew it was coming.
At some point,
X knew it was coming.
At some point, you're like, at some point, let's go to like the most rural, remote part of Persia in a bunker, right? I mean, at some point, you're like, okay, we're not. Then still, it's just really, it's either cockiness or hubris
Charlie, remember
or pride.
this is
or 30 seconds. Because then we got.
Oh, just say the beeper attack they were able to conduct just a few months ago was very significant in terms of their intel operations and shows a high degree of capability. So I wouldn't put anything past them.
So this is the final thought here. Israel has attacked at least 6 military bases around Tehran, including Parshin, residential homes at 2 highly secure complexes for military commanders, and multiple residential buildings around Tehran, and what appears to be target assassinations, according to 4 senior Iranian officials. So in closing here, we're going to have to throw off to the Real America's Voice gang and crew. They do a great job. Thank you guys for allowing us to interlude. I want to make sure I get this handoff correctly here. Before we do that, I want to keep on hearing your thoughts. freedom@charliekirk.com. That is freedom@charliekirk.com. For the RAV audience, we're going to send you guys back to Studio 6B. But again, I want to hear your thoughts. Are you supportive or not? And look, I am pro-Israel here. And of course, I'm America first and foremost. I'm very worried that this could escalate into a war that could then draw America in. But Israel's a sovereign country. They made a decision. President Trump says, look, this is what you wanted. Knock yourself out. They did it without American support, American help. I am afraid of what this could escalate towards. We're going to keep a close eye on it.